Good evening, sir. Good evening to all. Special lecture series program for undergraduate students on finance and its allied areas is organized by Kolkata Bidhannagar Society for Academic Advancement, coordinated by Azure Academic Services. Today's topic of discussion is overview of big data. We are honored to have with us Professor Ramit Kumar Roy, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, Commerce, St. Xavier's College, Autonomous. I would like to request sir to lead today's discussion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so very much. I think I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, so before I begin, I would just like to share the screen so that you can also let me know whether the screen is visible or not.
Okay, sir, please share.
Uh, I've already shared the screen. If you kindly let me know your feedback. Is
Yes,
it
sir,
visible?
it's visible.
And one more thing, I'm turning the camera of my system off. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you so much. So, with your permission, can I begin?
Sure, sir. Please start.
Okay. At the very outset, I would like to thank our society and Azure for offering me this platform through which I can present this talk. For the first time, I'm offering this talk on this particular topic, which is a very current, contemporary topic, a contemporary issue in today's scenario. So we all know what is data, but today I am trying to take into account a totally new concept, a totally very contemporary concept of what we actually call as big data. Because big data is something, before I move on to the first slide, this is just an introduction. Big data is something which we all are aware of, which we all are using. But the problem is we do not know that we are using big data. Now, what happens is this big data is actually extremely large in size. I will come on to the size also, how big the data is. I will come on to that. Extremely large in size, it is diverse in nature. It can be structured, unstructured, as well as it can be semi-structured. So the basic idea is, generally we know that, for example, if I'm asking someone's mobile number, it has a structure because at least it has 10 digits. If I'm asking someone's age, at least I'll get some numerical information. Of course, we often refer to age as alphanumeric data in database management system, but that's not a part of our discussion today. So when I ask someone's name, I know that how many characters it can have. For example, another thing is there is an upper limit to that character, number of characters in a name. Then there are some names which has middle name, some names which doesn't have a middle name. So all these things are there. At least we can easily know what it is actually referring to. If I'm asking a student in which class you are studying, I know the answer will be maybe from 1 to 12, anything. So basically the idea is generally we deal with the data which is structured in nature. That means we have an idea of what it can be, what type of data we are referring to. But in big data, what happens is it can be structured. Besides, it has been observed that it is not only unstructured but also semi-structured. That means there is no fixed way to define or to restrict our discussion to big data. We cannot say that this is big data and this is not big data. I'll come to an example. So it is devoid of any particular structure in most cases. And another thing is it grows exponentially over time because in India, at least in the Indian scenario, a very important source of big data is our mobile phones. Okay, so what happens is the number of mobile phone users in our country, irrespective of their economic strata, it is increasing. It is increasing in an increasing rate. So this grows exponentially over time, and data from mobile and various apps, they are one of the most leading sources of big data. Then it is used in machine learning, predictive modeling to solve business and real-time problems and arriving at decisions. See, the problem is, whenever we are having a data, the first question that comes at the back of our mind is, what are we supposed to do with this data? To sum up our discussion, we can always say that, see, we have got a lot of data, and on the basis of this data, uh, we will try to arrive at a conclusion. We will try to arrive at something concrete, a result. So, unless and until we arrive at a concrete result, unless and until we arrive at a concrete conclusion, the question of arriving at concrete decisions doesn't arise. Now, as I have already mentioned a few minutes back, that the data is generated from multiple types and widely dispersed sources. There are multiple sources of the big data. Multiple types of big data is there. And of course, it has a large number of sources. And in the given context, I can always say that in the Indian scenario, uh, the volume of big data is increasing in an increasing rate. Uh, there are students, there are four issues in this context. Sometimes the data increases in an increasing rate, sometimes it decreases in an increasing rate, sometimes it increases in a decreasing rate, and decreases in a decreasing rate. So here we are basically trying to understand the first type, it is increasing in an increasing rate. So this is the overall scenario, the overall concept, the overall situation, scenario, perception of big data in India in 2024. Now, before I proceed further, I would like to be very practical, and I would like to admit that whatever I am referring to, I have basically compiled from the various reliable sources of the web, and those diagrams which you will find, because I have incorporated quite a few number of diagrams to make my presentation as interesting, as interactive as possible, to the best of my capacity with whatever little knowledge I have. Now have a look here. This is basically downloaded from the a popular website is there, Investopedia. The link I have already given. If in any case you are interested, you are most welcome to refer to this, download the data. You see, it refers to large, diverse set of information that grows at ever increasing rate. So what is it? What are the sources? What exactly are we referring to? What is the issue in today's evening when I've taken this talk? It will come with time. Now, see here, for example, there is a pictorial icon. Say, for example, when we are purchasing. Now, if we want to keep a record of the purchase, what purchase? For example, in Kolkata itself, you all know that the number of shopping malls are increasing. Not only shopping malls, now we are using electronic transactions through our various Paytms, through our various digital wallets, even in some panit dokan or stationery shops or whatever it is we call it. So what happens is, at every street corner also you will find these provisions for paying through digital wallets. So all these sources, can we just imagine the volume of data that is generated on a single day in Kolkata? Just Kolkata. Why I'm saying Kolkata? Because I'm a person who is from Kolkata actually. So this is one of the sources. In my next slide, I will definitely highlight upon some of the sources. It's needless to mention that these sources, the list is not at all exhaustive. We can add on, and add on. And the fact is, the more and more we add on, the more and more big data is being generated at any given point of time throughout the day. Why throughout the day? Because e-commerce transactions, you all know, we all know, e-commerce transactions, they are independent of geographical barriers, they are independent of time barriers. From Kolkata, we can shop from US, UK, anywhere. Reverse is also true. From US or UK, they can shop from Kolkata or anywhere, any other part of India, Delhi, Kashmir, whatever it is. Similarly, it is time independent because you can shop on a 24 into 7 into 365 or 366 if it is a leap year. We can shop in that basis also. And then geographical location independent, it is time independent. It is also highly flexible in terms of device because not only we can shop from our mobiles, we can use laptops, we can use desktops. In mobiles also you can use net banking. In mobile you can use a number of apps are coming out every day. So whatever we are doing, we are basically trying to ultimately what we are trying to do is we are trying to gather more and more, deposit more and more information, and then we are trying to analyze the information so that we can come to a comprehensive conclusion based on the information. That is why the last line is very important here. It says that grow at a ever increasing rate. A few minutes ago I said there are four issues regarding this growth. One is increasing in an increasing rate, one is increasing in a decreasing rate. Now students, when something is increasing in a decreasing rate, that is something negative in the long run. Then similarly, when it is decreasing in a decreasing rate, that is also something positive in the long run. But if it is decreasing in an increasing rate, that is also reducing the transactions in the long run. But here, in case of big data, as on 20th of September 2024, if I keep the Indian and the global scenario in mind, we find that it is increasing in an increasing rate. In fact, none of us are sure. In fact, I don't have any information. I don't think anyone has. Where is it going to stop? Or is it at all going to stop? So let's explore our discussions a little further. Uh, Students, I would request you, ladies and gentlemen, I would request you to read the last point of this slide where I've written the list is not exhaustive. So needless to say that we can add on to these sources. Transaction processing systems, I've told you already. There are so many ways through which we can perform our transactions today. In fact, if we carefully observe, you will find that there is an increase in transactions through digital wallets, phone pay, Google Pay, whatever you call it. Net banking, in comparison, I would say the number of transactions made through net banking by common people is much lesser in comparison to the number of transactions which take place through Google Pay, Phone Pay, GPay, whatever you call it. In one word, we call it as the digital wallets. So all these transaction processing systems ultimately refers to generation of data related to transactions. In fact, when we travel by Ola, Uber, InDriver, there you will also find that they are moving with the provision to pay digitally. They will give you their barcode or whatever code, QR code, whatever they call it, and then you can pay. Actually, in this context, I personally do not use these digital wallets. I prefer net banking, but that's for a different issue altogether. We may take it up in some other lectures in the days to follow. Now, next comes the customer database. Now, what actually happens is when we are making some transactions, automatically there is some record which is being maintained by the party and also by the company or by the service provider who is involved in this transaction. For example, whenever I am paying using Google Pay or GPay, at the end of a week, I can easily track where I have spent how much through these digital wallets. Similarly, the companies or the service providers where we have used, where we have paid, they also are in a position to find out from their records who are the customers. And another issue is you will find that in case of digital wallets, in many cases the payment amount is very small, maybe 10 rupee, 20 rupee, 50 rupees, whatever you call it, 10 rupees, 10, 20, 30, 50, whatever. And the frequency is very high. The number of payments made is very high, not only for one customer, but also for multiple customer. And more importantly, this customer database includes customers irrespective of their financial status. Then comes emails. Now, I personally do not know how many emails I receive a day, maybe 10, 20, 30, whatever it is. Some are useful, some are of no use, but then again, some are spams. So I'm sure we all know. In fact, I have two or three email IDs. One is official, the others I use for my personal purpose. So imagine a person who is having at least one or two email IDs. How many emails? Maybe some of them are spams. Maybe some of them are genuine. Whatever it is, how many emails they are getting. The same is applicable. The same is applicable when we send emails, receive emails, then we send attachments. Uh, we upload data in our Google Drives. We upload photos. We can share attachments of large size. How many? I do not know how many types are there. Similarly, as far as medical records are concerned, I do not know whether uh, the students you can try it also. Data sets, medical data sets, public data sets. You will find data, so many medical data available in the web. In addition to that, every hospital, every nursing home, every pathological lab, they are all using they are all using this they are all using this just a second please they are all using this medical records. So imagine the number of medical records that are being transacted in one particular day in our city, Kolkata. As I am from Kolkata, I am trying to refer to Kolkata and also India. So just imagine. So automatically you understand what is the scenario. And remember, whenever we are issuing any digital payment, whenever we are buying any medicine, whenever we are going for any pathological test, whenever we are downloading, uploading reports, all this, they ultimately they add up to the increase of the amount of the big data. Now, mobile apps, students, I would like to just say only one thing. Those of you who are listening, those of you who will be listening, maybe you will all agree that many people, they are having more than one number of handsets and more than one number of SIMs. Okay. So when you are having more than one number of handsets and more than one number of SIMs, even if you're having only one handset and one SIM, I'm sure if someone asks, including me, how many apps are there in your mobile, I cannot tell it in one go. So automatically the number of mobile users are increasing and the number of mobile apps being downloaded per user is even more. And again, I'm hammering the same nail. The people who are using mobile, needless to say, there the economic scenario does not have an important role to play because in India, smartphones are basic configurations, of course. Smartphones are available at extremely affordable prices. Smartphones are available at flexible payment options. Similarly, we have our cable-based internet connection, mobile data card. We have our broadband services offered by multinationals such as Airtel and Jio. So data, mobile, internet connections, they are affordable. Similarly, in public places, we have freely available public Wi-Fi. So what and what not. Then comes the our very well known social networks. We know Facebook, we know Twitter. I do not know other social networking names. Maybe you know much better than me. Uh, Often LinkedIn, only to name a few. So imagine a person who is having more than one number of account in more than one number of social networking interface. So imagine the number of uh, I should not say the number, I should say the volume of data which is generated, I should say, per hour. And again, this data is absolutely unstructured. So whatever they are feeling, whatever they are wanting, they are publishing it, right? Because today in the digital domain you will find publishing is very easy. Then comes the bloggers. So I do not know how many, only I maybe I'm telling a few percent of the entire available resources. So the my focal point of discussion is the sources of big data. They are also in large number, and when you explore each of these sources, you will find volumes and volumes of of data, unstructured data, semi-structured data. They are basically being explored. They are basically being given birth to. They are basically being formulated within an hour. Maybe I do not know. Hour is maybe too long. So these are some of the sources which of big data which we are trying to deal with. Now here I would like to refer to this diagram, because this particular diagram, what happens is it tries to highlight upon the, I have purposefully made this slide bigger so that you understand the application of our big data in our real life. Now just have a look at this. High speed connectivity to schools. Every school, every college, almost every school, every college has high speed internet connection, maybe 5G, I do not know. uh, then we have the data privacy and security. WhatsApp, when we are sending, you will find often in WhatsApp, when we are sending data, it is end to end encrypted. Then you have the digitized records of students. For example, students' attendance record is digitized. The When an admission is there, we have this entire admission process being monitored online. So whatever happens is submission of forms, publication of list, payment of fees, all are taking place online. So digitized records of students. And another important issue I would like to highlight upon here, just imagine a particular student. What the student is doing is he is taking admission, he is trying for admission in more than one number of college at a given point of time. Even in one particular college, the student is trying to apply for more than one number of courses. So imagine from a single student at the time of an admission, the amount of data that is generated. Now you find out the same student is applying in different colleges, then so, and of course the total number of students. So can you imagine the level of data that is generated only at the time of admission? Only at the time of admission. So this is a real-time application of big data. Similarly, you have high-quality, low-cost devices, maybe laptops, maybe mobiles. Uh, you will find that nowadays your mobiles are quite affordable. I told you, we discussed a few minutes back. It offers us flexible payment options, even EMI options where you don't have to pay anything extra. So automatically this is another important source of big data, because when mobiles are affordable, naturally the number of users will increase. And then if a mobile handset lasts for around 4 to 5 years, then the same person is buying a mobile after 4 or 5 years. Add to that the increasing trend in Indian population. So the number of mobile users, the number of mobile users are directly in proportion with the increase in the population. So high quality, low cost device. Then comes the online portal sharing, digital course material now, web-based learning, e-learning, learning through YouTube's, learning through various educational websites, learning through various platforms. For an example, a same person, he's offering some courses through YouTube, offering some materials through his or her company's website, through their apps, and often posting some materials in their Facebook account. Often musicians, you will find, they are having their own YouTube channels. Besides, they are putting up their individual music videos in their Facebook pages. So all these things are basically generating volume of data. Internet access provided at home. Now again, I would like to highlight upon here, you see the internet access that we provide upon at home, often we have our local cable, our locality cable service providers, then you have your BSNL, for example, then you have your private parties such as Geo, such as Airtel. So they all are providing land-based, optical fiber-based, then land-based, maybe Wi-Fi connections. So they are all providing at home at extremely reasonable, affordable prices, because they are very much well aware of that if the price is affordable, naturally in the Indian context, in the current scenario, the number of users will increase. There are many educational centers also, they are providing their digital contents, institutes of repute, even some IITs also, they are offering their many materials, they are available in online mode. And they are not only educational, you will find, of course, answer to almost every query that comes in our way, maybe in our family matters, maybe in our social matters, maybe in our legal matters. You find YouTube videos in almost everywhere. However, I would like to add here a very simple point, that whatever, I always keep on telling this thing, whatever is available in the web is definitely not always reliable. But then if we are sure of the sources, definitely we get quality digital content and resources from the web. So these are some of the applications of big data in our real life. And I am sure each and everyone who is listening to this particular talk at the moment, or those who will be listening to this, you have applied one or more than one of these in your real life. That is why when the talk began, I said that we don't know that we are using big data, but we are using big data every day. And why it is big? Because it's keeping on increasing and increasing. So this is one of the very I should say sensitive areas, very important areas as far as we are concerned. Now comes the fundamental question: how big is big data? Now let us do some simple mathematics. So what happens is we measure data in terms of bits and bytes. That means ultimately, for a layman like me to understand, these bits and bytes, whatever we call it, or the bits, they have any one of the two values. It's either 0 or 1. And a combination of bits, a combination of 0 and 1s, they make a byte. That means 8 bits altogether, they make a byte. Now, up to this much, it is okay. Then we have kilobytes, which is nothing but 1000 bytes. Then we have megabytes, 1000 square bytes. Then we have gigabytes, one that is 1000 cube bytes. Then we have terabytes, 1004 bytes. Then we have petabytes, 1005. We have exabytes, 1006. I mean 1000 to the power 2, to the power 3, to the power 4, to the power 5, to the power 6. I'm sorry if there is any confusion. I by 1006 I meant 1000 to the power 6. That is why the screen is being displayed. And then we have the zettabytes, which is 1000 to the power 7. So from 8 bits, which makes 1 byte, we are into kilo, mega, giga, tera, peta, exa, and zetta. So 1007, 1000 to the apologies once again, 1000 to the power 7 bytes. In 2020, there were 64.2 ZB, zettabytes of data in the digital universe. Now, see, in 2024, that figure has more than doubled to an estimated 147 zettabytes. So, from 20 to 2024, from the year of COVID to 2024 only, let us try to understand that when zettabyte means 1000 to the power 7 bytes, from 64.2 zettabytes, it has come to 147 zettabytes. Honestly speaking, I personally cannot visualize the quantum of data. So, what I did was when I found this information for this talk, for my understanding, for my knowledge, and to give my students and the audience an overview of big data, I, I thought that it will be very wise if I can tell you from your bytes to zettabytes the entire roadmap. So hard disks, maybe we know gigabytes or terabytes, I do not know. 1 GB hard disk we all know, and then it is 1000 to the power 3, and now we have 1000 to the power 7, and then we have 64.2. Rather, it should be 64.2 into 1000 to the power 7 bytes to make our mathematics more understandable. I personally do not know where we will be landing up to. And now it's 147. And I'm sure by this time, this 147 has definitely increased. Now, please let us try to understand that unless and until we are able to convert this big data into some numerics, into some value, this data is of no use. We may have an idea, we may have an information, but this data is of no use. Therefore, whenever we say big data, generally these 7 V's we are referring to. So, first of them is value. Now, see, there is no order in this way, maybe. I start with value, then we have volume. Now, I think that there is no point in speaking on volume after the slide which I've traversed a few minutes ago, the zettabytes. So, two things up till now we are sure of, that these 7 V's needs to be satisfied when we are trying to analyze the data as big data. Then there is variability. That means the data whose meaning is continuously changing. Because you see, unless and until we are absolutely sure of what this data is trying to mean, or unless and until you are absolutely sure that the data which we are dealing with for our analysis, we are in a position to convert it into some value, the entire discussion stands meaningless. Now, a very important aspect of this big data is the visualization of data. Visualization of data for a layman like me implies that we are trying to offer a pictorial representation of the entire data. And this pictorial representation not only clarifies our doubt, but also ensures that the person opposite to me, if he or she is a novice, the person is clearly understanding that what exactly is the graphical representation of the data that we are referring to. Now, in this context, I would like to say that one very popular, well-known tool of data visualization is Excel, electronic spreadsheets, which we call it popularly. And another very popular free uh, tool for data visualization is our Python. And another thing I would like to say, for Python, Uh, to start with, we don't even need to install Python in our desktop or laptop. We can always work in Google Colab. And for working in a Google Colab, I am again telling to start with. For working in a Google Colab, you just need an internet connection with a computer and, of course, a Gmail ID. So, data visualization is very important because unless and until we are able to represent the data in pictures, unless and until we are able to make myself understand and others understand what do you mean by this data, what this data is trying to reveal before us. So again, this data is meaningless. Then comes a very important concept of veracity. Now, veracity means how accurate the data is. Because, see, one thing is very clear. If there is a fault, a defect, a tampering in the source data, it is but obvious. See, suppose the source data is tampered, suppose the source data itself is fabricated, manipulated, and then what happens is we are trying to make an analysis of the data and our analysis is correct. I'm sure you'll all agree that whether we do the analysis or we do not do the analysis doesn't have any impact, because the results will absolutely be misguiding us because the very source data is not correct. So this is very important, because whenever we are taking the raw data, whenever we are procuring the raw data, we must ensure that the data that we are procuring is accurate. Because if the data is not accurate, we should not expect any result which is even closer to accuracy after the entire analysis is over. That is why if the data is fake, false, fabricated, twisted, edited, distorted, whatever terms I use, then our entire experiments which will follow this is also in a waste. Then comes the different types of data, because the sources are different, types are different: audio data, video data, multimedia data, music data. Music data means maybe some musical, some ringtones, or maybe some noise, some songs, anything. And last but not the least is the velocity. That means the speed at which the data is generated. Students, again, I would like to iterate the fact that please try to understand that each and every constituent of the 7 V's that I've discussed a few minutes back is equally necessary, equally important for us to understand and have an idea of what big data is actually about, what we are trying to discuss. Now, why is this important? After 7 slides, we are trying to understand because it helps in the generation of new revenue streams. For example, I'm sure you know, we also have an idea that we use the social media platforms, we use the online platforms for revenue generation. We have online classes, we have YouTube channels, we can monetize our YouTubes, we can promote our products through YouTube, we can use the Facebook also for product purpose, we can use Facebook as an advertising space where we can, through which we can sell our assets. So it's definitely another new way of generation of revenue. And another very important issue is the process of product and service offering is basically redesigned, because I will not say the word eliminate, but I will definitely say that it is minimizing the need of a manual intermediary. That is very important. Uh, for example, there are apps which will categorically tell us that which train is getting late or traveling on time. There are apps, there are social networks through which we can contact the government authorities and officials. Kolkata Police, for example, has its own Facebook page. For example, Kolkata Municipal Corporation, it has its own website through which we can pay our KMC taxes. So the entire this virtual environment is being explored in length and breadth, and all the information that we are getting at the end of the day is nothing but adding to the volume of big data. Now, definitely, with this much of deployment of technology, what's happening is our basic business processes are getting streamlined. This is very important because I just give you an example again once more. Uh, I just give you an example. Suppose I have tried this in my case also. Suppose a person has paid the corporation tax. Now, the person wants to know whether any other amount is due from Kolkata, due from the person to Kolkata Municipal Corporation. Now, what happens is Kolkata Municipal Corporation offers you the facility through which you can download the no objection or no objection, I am wrong, no outstanding certificate from its website only by placing your SSC number. So naturally what happens is you can easily furnish that data that you see as on a given date in a particular year. The corporation doesn't owe anything from me. So this is very important. It helps in streamlining the business process. So when you are paying online, you can always send a screenshot and confirm that look, I have paid you. So you cannot deny. Okay. I have seen in local shops when they are using the digital wallets, the moment they hear a beep sound or a sound, maybe of some of that nature, they will tell the shopkeeper that look, I have paid. You see, this is the amount. So instantly they get a confirmation. And of course, this helps us in arriving at better constructive decisions, verify and disprove existing models, whether a particular model is working or a particular system is in place. Shall we continue with that system? Shall we disprove that system? Shall we agree to continue? Shall we disagree to continue? Big data plays a tremendous role. Now, I would like to uh, understand the life cycle of big data. So what happens is we are asking relevant questions and defining objectives for the problem that needs to be tackled. Now this is very important because to solve a problem, the first precondition is we must try to define the problem. If we are unable to define the problem, we cannot solve the problem. This is very important. So we are asking relevant questions and we are making a clear-cut definition of the objectives. Now, clear-cut definition of the objectives for a layman like me, it means what do I exactly want to solve or achieve? That is very important. This understanding of the business is very important. Then comes the data mining. Data mining is we are basically trying to gather, collect, accumulate the data that is required for a particular project. Because for any type of data analysis, for any type of trend analysis, for any type of trend prediction, for example, a shopping mall is being put up. Now, before the shopping mall is put up, so automatically the business houses will think that what type of products, what type of shops, what type of eateries, what type of facilities should be provided so that their business venture is a hit. For that, data mining is compulsory. Now, then comes data cleaning. Now, data cleaning is basically a pre-processing operation. By pre-processing operation, we mean that we are trying to eliminate the inconsistencies in the data and handle the missing values. For example, you want the name, email address, PAN of the customers, maybe, or the Aadhaar number of the customers. Now, you will find there are maybe 100 customers over a week. Out of them, 3 have not given their PAN, 2 have not given their Aadhaar, something like this. Now, how to point it out? There are functions, there are techniques which helps us in clearly identifying that after the data is being represented in a tabular format in the format of rows and columns, which data is missing, which information is missing, and naturally once you identify what is missing, the next step is very easy. We try to procure it. So data cleaning is very important, and data cleaning is a very powerful pre-processing technique. And again, I would like to say, if you remember a few minutes back, I was telling that if the data is fault, if the data is wrong, then there is no point in analysis of the data, because we will definitely get some wrong results. Here also, I would like to say that if the data cleaning is not done properly, we should not expect any proper result out of that data processing. So let us try to be very clear that our data analysis will definitely yield us desirable results when and only when we have procured the correct data and we have cleaned the data, identified the missing values. If there is any error in the data, we have eliminated the data, that particular error sample. So these things needs to be done. Then comes data exploration, from hypothesis about your defined problem by visually analyzing the data. Now we are moving into the data analysis part. So we are basically trying to explore the data. So unless and until we visually analyze, what is visual analyzation? Now, application of tools, techniques, and then we are trying to basically offer a graphical representation in the form of pie chart, bar chart, histogram, pivot table, whatever it is. There are so many ways. If you work in Python, you have so many style of representation of data. Of course, depending on the nature of data, that is very important, because there are some data where pie chart is used. There are some data where pie chart will not be used. We will use bar charts. Similarly, there are some data where we will be going for scatter plots. Whatever it is, this visualization is very important. Then comes feature engineering, which means we have to select the important features, and then we are expected to construct or derive more meaningful ones using the raw data that I have. So what are the features or attributes or information available or extract of the data? So this is very important. But before that, we have already performed the business understanding, mining, cleaning, exploration, and then we are going to go for the feature analysis, feature engineering. Another important issue is how many features will we extract? Now that again depends on the problem. And more so, it depends on what we want to do with the data that is available to us, because the same data at given point of time can give us different outputs. Depending on the problem, the feature engineering operations will take place. Next comes predictive modeling. We are basically training the machine learning models, evaluating their performance, and use them to make predictions. There are innumerable predictive modeling techniques. So I'm not going into that today. But the point is, unless and until we go for the data predictive modeling, we are unable to arrive at a concrete conclusion as to our output of the, or output, I should say, from the raw data. This is followed by data visualization. Ultimately, we are trying to communicate the findings. And then, to whom are we communicating? We are communicating to our stakeholders. And we are using the plots and interactive visualization. Sometimes we use dashboards, sometimes we use graphs, pie charts. The moral of the discussion is the data visualization is offering our stakeholders the output of our findings. We are exploring the data, we are generating or extracting the features, we are using some models to analyze those parameters and make some predictions, and ultimately whatever the predictions we have got, they are basically used for data visualization. Now comes a very important question according to me. The links as usual are given. So what skills do data analysts require? Now, honestly speaking, you can find from SQL. SQL is a very popular RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. It's a structured query language, we call it. In any type of RDBMS, such as maybe MySQL, which is available free, uh, Oracle is not free. Then Microsoft Access, basically the programming language is SQL, structured query language. The same syntax will work there. Spreadsheet, electronic spreadsheet, I would be very happy if my students, they are in a position to explore the various features of electronic spreadsheet, because in any computer, electronic spreadsheet is compulsorily present. Let us try to explore the various features, facilities, functions available against electronic spreadsheet, and unless and until we explore their features, we cannot understand. And in electronic spreadsheet, we can use statistical functions, we can use mathematical functions, we can use uh, arithmetic functions, logical functions, financial functions for our work. Statistical programming languages. Now, honestly speaking, you need some basic idea of statistics, and a very popular statistical programming language is R. The name is R. Now, another, we can do it using Python also, but R is more popular. And another important issue is R or Python. Another R and Python, both are available free in the web. We can download it and we can use it. In fact, for Python, I was telling you a few minutes back, if you can kindly recollect, you don't even need to install in your computer. You can use it through Google Colab also. Data visualization, I think we have had enough of discussions today. So unless and until we are in a position to visualize the data, it's of no use. Machine learning is a very, very burning area in today's academics, in today's industries. There are high demands for people having this type of skills, and needless to say, if students are interested, they can take up small projects, they can take up internships, so they can use the social media like LinkedIn for applying in internships, enrolling in projects. Sample projects are available in plenty in the web. They can try on, they can try by themselves. So machine learning, data preparation, I was referring to writing. Now documentation is very important, because documentation not only helps others to understand what you have done, it also helps you to understand when you are taking up the same work, maybe after a couple of months or after a year, that what you did last time. And maintaining proper documentation against each and every work apparently seems very easy, but in real time, uh, people having the tenacity, capacity, tendency to maintain proper documentation in the form of writing is very rare. Research, there is no end to it. You can use Google Scholar, you can use ResearchGate, you can use key hubs, and of course, there are so many journals available in the web. Some of them give you open access to their papers. Through ResearchGate, you can access the data analysts and find out what they're working on. Any area you feel like, you go to Google Scholar and find it out. What are the papers in the recent in that domain? Where are they published? How many times they have been referred? Everything, all is available. Data warehousing and data mining, they are basically interrelated to each other. For data mining, you need a very well built data warehouse. Data warehouse itself is a very important topic. Now, we are not into that today in today's lecture, but unless and until we are having records over time, and these records are error free, properly maintained, uh, it is very difficult to mine information, dig out information from the data. So, data warehouse and data mining is very important. Project management, of course, you need to work on projects. Now, there are industrial projects, there are internships, and also academic projects. If you are really good at, you should try to get your work published in reputed conferences, reputed journals, journals with impact factors, Springer journals, for example, then Springer conferences, for example, then, for example, the conferences which societies like ours they arrange time and again. So if you can present your work, if you can present your papers, if you can present your performances there, so definitely that will add a lot of value, that will put in more and more confidence, and you will also understand, and more importantly that will add a lot of positive parameters in your biodata. Now this is something really very important according to me, because after our schools, colleges, universities they get over, self-learning is something which needs to continue with us as long as I would say we are active. Now, data analysis, to understand big data properly, we basically need a combination of technical expertise and problem solving skills. They're very important. You need a combination of these two. The more and more you have these two together, the more and more you will accelerate. So, self learning is the, I should say, trump card. It's the only way, according to me personally, which helps you in acquiring knowledge, acquiring e-resources, and often without any formal instruction or structured courses. Whatever problems you encounter, you take a problem and try to solve it. If there is any problem, this hunting is very important. You must go to the web, explore the web, find out how the solutions are being offered. In today's world, we have the free versions of the artificial intelligence chat GPTs. Maybe you can use it. You can verify the methodologies that is being portrayed there. And the more and more you indulge yourself in self-learning, you will find automatically you are getting values added to yourself. See, textbooks can definitely act as a starting point. But once a particular textbook, this is 100% personal, once a particular textbook is covered in length and breadth, now when you want to explore, definitely self-learning according to me is the only way out, because a resource person may not know everything that you are looking for. So this is very, very important. You need to be very curious. I said the word hunting mentality, right? And who is going to motivate yourself? You only. Who else? Because you desire to grow, add value to yourself, add value to your resume. So it definitely offers some advantages I've told you. And another thing, it is often tricky, because those of you who are listening to my lectures must agree that I told you repeatedly, maybe a few minutes back, that not everything which is available in the internet is true. So you must try to understand, and here also it is very important, you must try to understand the source, where it is being procured from, the source of the data, the reference, and then you can work on it and explore it further. And again, I would iterate how much you have developed yourself by self-learning. I would request you to participate in these conferences, seminars, webinars, and then explore it further. For example, when I got this opportunity to speak today, when I started preparing for today's webinar, naturally, whatever I compiled, you see, I have not compiled everything what I got, but there is a sequence to compile, right? So definitely these platforms you should use. Few minutes back I told that like other areas, like big conferences, we also offered this forum for the upcoming researchers and academicians. So it will be very nice if you can use it, like I try to use it with my little capacity. So that ultimately makes your biodata very dynamic when you offer yourself in the job market. So they also know that you are trying to accelerate on your existing data set, I should not say existing knowledge base. So because what happens is, these things are changing very fast. I remember before 2010, there was a social networking platform called Orkut. Maybe you people, most of the students today may not have heard of it. It is nowhere now. So Facebook is now definitely dominating, along with Twitter, along with others. Purpose is different, but the point is this dynamicity is there. Similarly, Google, it keeps on adding more and more at extremely affordable prices. If you can compare their pricing, you have other platforms such as Zoom. So for the lectures. So the point is, unless and until you explore the web, try to find out what is actually right, try to find out what is good for you. So it is not possible for you, for me, to add values to ourselves. So self-learning is very important, and to be a good data analyst, to be a good worker, researcher in the field of big data, self-learning is a must. You have to do. There is no escape to it. And I am telling, after my experience, I'm telling you. It's not that I'm learning from somewhere and telling. I have learned, I've tried, I've got the result. Now I'm telling you. Now comes to I'm almost on the verge of the completion of my presentation, and here I would like to highlight upon some of the major challenges. Now, challenges in big data can itself be a topic for another seminar or a webinar, but here I am trying to highlight upon those challenges which you will definitely encounter when you try to work in big data. You see, data quality, reliability. Data quality, I have told you, if the data is incorrect, our analysis is incorrect. But reliability, who is offering the data? For example, you will find Facebook, WhatsApp, they are a fantastic platform to spread rumors, fake news, etc. Often you will find there are some news which are being made viral, and then when you explore it a little further, you find it's fake. So please be sure that not only the data is of quality, but also the data is reliable. The source of data is reliable. The content of the data, the source is reliable. The content is reliable. The content is complete. We cannot conclude on a half-hearted information, because that will in the long term create more and more confusion. Data access, whether it's a publicly available data set or a private data set. Now, often I found that if it is publicly available, you can use Kaggle to download the data. Maybe if it is private data set, you can contact with the corresponding author to send you the data on which you want to work on. Bad visualizations, if the pictorial representation is of unwelcoming nature, I'm sorry, that is not going to help us in any way whatsoever. Data privacy, security. Now, this is very, very important. I think you must understand that your data deserves the highest level of protection. Now, when we are into trying to avail the cloud service, automatically, for example, I'm storing some data in Google Drive. Needless to say, I'm giving the full control of data to Google. Now, that much risk you have to take. Can't help it. So, data security, it's always better you use the known platforms. It's always better you use the data with a dependable source, at least a source with proper documentation, some legal validity. And whenever there is any problem, please apply your logic. In this context, I would like to tell you that, not related to big data directly, but if you are really interested, please read the section 66 and its subsections in IT Act. Okay, IT Act 2000. To have an idea of what exactly can be the punishment, what exactly can be the penalty. Okay, so there are some sections which are abolished, maybe subsections. I do not know for sure. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I do not know now. I do not remember at the moment. But what I always remember is you should have a basic orientation of IT Act 2000. It's not directly related to big data, but you should have an orientation. Particularly section 60, section 66 is available in the web also, in any standard books also. So you understand what it is. So you should be understanding where you should be a little more careful. When it boils down to the discussion of talent shortage, my dear students, I would like to tell that really there is a see, unemployment in India is a problem, no doubt on that. Similarly, getting a proper human resource for a proper job, it's also an equal problem. So please equip yourself with whatever I have told you, even if it benefits one or two persons. I think my talk in this evening is properly rewarded. Please add value to your CV and explore whatever ideas I shared with you, and please try to enhance from wherever you are at the moment. Too many analytics systems and tools, very interesting, but the problem is here also this requires your cognitive power, your logical sense to pick and choose. For example, if you personally ask me, I prefer Excel and I try to work in Python. So you can pick up your own tools. There is Power BI. I don't know what it is all about. I don't know, but I know the names, but I have never explored them. You can try this out. Cost. Now, very important. For example, Google Colab is initially free, but then in Indian currency, it is around 1000 rupees a month for the first version, first higher version, over and above free. But the advantage is you pay as you use it. It's not you are paying every month. So that is very important, students. You can find out the cost, and it is very interesting that if you are not making a cost benefit analysis, definitely you are not at all a good analyst again. So direct cost, indirect cost, because what happens is with hardware, with time, along with the software, hardware cost also increases, right? So we are trying to depend on the clouds. Okay, cloud means online storage. For example, Google offers its own cloud, Microsoft Teams has its own cloud storage facility, like this. So then comes there is another service, Dropbox. You can store some data in the cloud. So many are there. You explore and you find out whatever suits you the best. Changing technology. This is again, I told you that which technology is going to dominate in the market is very important in today's world. So you have to adapt to the changing technology. And how will you adapt? Self-learning. There is no other way out to it. You take up a problem, try to explore the problem, explore the resources, spend some time, try to collaborate, try to discuss. And why I'm saying try to, because a single foolproof attempt is never available. I have seen you need to collaborate, try it from multiple sides unless and until you get a desirable result. Students, that brings the end of today's lecture. I tried to offer my ideas on overview of big data. I do not know how far I have been able to cater to your requirements, but I definitely know that with whatever little ideas I have, uh, I definitely tried my best. So all the best to all of you. And again, I thank the KBSAA and of course Azure Academic Services for offering me this opportunity. And let's hope for the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your lucid explanation on big data. It was really insightful and detailed discussion on big data.
Thank you
And
so
you have
much.
not only explained the details of big data, and you not only explained the in-depth concepts about the topic, but you also guided the students about how they can really understand and find the sources of using big data, and they can develop their skills in their real life for their employment opportunities. So it was really great. Thank you so much, sir, once again for bearing time for students and KBSAA out of your busy schedule. Thank you so much, sir.
Am I allowed to say something?
Wait, sir, just we just end the session, okay?
Okay.